Let's get started. So basically, Christian would say, "Hey Arlo, can I tell you something? Come to the roof." He says, "What do you want?" When they get to the roof, he says, "What?" "I actually don't even have an ability." He says, "What? You don't have an ability? What the? I thought you said your ability was swordsman." "Yeah, I was born without one." He says, "What? Ha! Get out of here, you stupid cripple." He says, "Oh, okay, Arlo." And he just walks out. He's like, "Whatever. Stupid. I lost a person who I didn't really care about. I don't care." The speech bubble turns black. He goes, "Yo, John, I got something to tell you." He says, "What?" "I don't got an ability." He says, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of obvious. No one could have an ability called swordsman, dummy." He says, "Whatever. Let's go. My ability just... Let's get started." So, basically, I'm pretty sure after this what would happen is John would meet Arlo. John and Thing are walking down the hallway. And yeah, John would bump into Arlo, and Arlo would say, "Hey, watch it, you stupid cripple." Coach would say, "Watch it, Arlo," and pull out a sword towards his throat and the guy says, "What are you doing? You don't threaten the king." He says, "That's right, I don't threaten the king. I threaten his attendant, his little pet," and drops the sword back in and just walks away, and everyone's like, "What the?" Says, "Let's go, John." Oh yeah, just saying, I'm doing a giant skip. Seraphina still does get suspended. Moving on to the John getting his powers part. So basically, when Arlo would want to take John to his like little errand thingies, Christian would jump on top of the train and see what they're doing. But then Christian would hop in and say, "Yo, what's up, guys?" "What?" Alright guys, I'm back. He says, "Hey Arlo, hey John." He says, "Were you watching?" He says, "No, I was on top of the train." He says, "Oh, I want to come." He says, "Alright, sure." So when he takes the two in, he sees, wait a minute. Now Christian and Arlo were actually pretty good friends, but that's about to change. He'd be like, so once Arlo would be like, "Once I was 7 years old, I destroyed your..." I'm kidding. So basically one day, so once they get there actually, Arlo would send out Maylene and the other guy. And John and Thing would have to fight them off, but that did nothing, they both get bodied. But then, Arlo says, "I used you just to see. And now that we're here, we're miles away from society. Now, you guys will never ever get to do a thing." Then they both say, "Arlo, you bastard." Okay, I just swear it on stream, now that's a little bit bad. They say, "Arlo, you dummy, I'm gonna wreck you." And then Christian would say, "Ah!" And then he'd run right towards Arlo. Out of nowhere, his hand explodes. An explosion comes from his hand and explodes Arlo's barrier, putting a crack. And he's like, "What the hell was that?" Then he says, "Ah!" And then he says, oh wait, my power, I remember it. It's called explosive palms. He goes, and just keeps on, and then in the speed of light, he just keeps on spamming his hands against Arlo's barrier, cutting it. While John takes care of the demon claws girl and the whirlwind guy. He goes, I thought we could have been friends. Oh no! But no, you betrayed me. Now I'll use the secret move that I always used to use. He goes full explosion. But first, he punches Arlo up in the air and says, Housing Impact! Yeah, I know I'm taking all the inspiration from Bakugo. Going, Housing Impact! Ramming it into him. Going, Aah! Cutting through all his barrier and then exploding him in the face. And saying, at least try and make yourself useful, you moron! He'd say, whatever. And they just dip. They just both walk away. He'd say, John. He'd carry John on his back while walking back to the school, because John is still tired out. He'd pick up John and put him on his back, and then he'd run away. And he'd see Seraphina. He says, Seraphina! And he'd say, here, quickly, get him to Elaine. Call Elaine, quickly. And then he'd faint. Because, well, he kind of just tried to break through a barrier, a force field, and cut himself up so many times. She put them both on the couch, then calling Elaine over, saying, please help them, quickly. And then she'd hear both of them. When she's almost finished, Christian tries to go for his arm, and Christian says, I'm fine. She says, you're going. He said, I'm fine, heal him! And she goes, and she just pulls his arm. He's like, Aah! And then we just go to the scene where John grabs her mouth, and Christian's like, whoa, John, chill, my guy. He says, you shut up too. And he says, Inky, oh man. He says, Kuduse. And puts an explosive palm up to John's face and says, I will not. We will not keep this a secret. This is important. If Seraphina knows, then you guys could be the top of the school. And then, maybe Seraphina could teach you not to be such a bad person. He says, so, basically, he'd say, so calm down, John. He'd try an explosive palm, and then he'd say, you're done. Then he'd kick down John's door, and well, not kick it down, but kick it back, and say, I'm done with this. And that, guys, is it for part 3 of 45.